Welcome to a deep dive into the concept of individualized ecological niches. Traditionally, ecology has focused on populations and species, but recent research highlights the importance of individual differences within those groups. Today, we'll explore how the unique traits and behaviors of individuals shape their own ecological spaces, what we call individualized niches. This approach builds on Hutchinson's classic niche theory but zooms in from the population level to the individual, revealing a richer, more dynamic picture of how organisms interact with their environments. Let's begin by understanding why individuality matters in ecology. Individuals within a population aren't identical. They consistently differ in behavior, physiology, and how they relate to their environment. These differences aren't just quirks, they have real ecological consequences. For example, some animals may be bolder or more cautious, leading them to exploit different resources or habitats. Such variation can affect population dynamics, resource use, and even the resilience of entire communities. By recognizing and studying these individual differences, ecologists can better predict how populations respond to environmental changes and challenges. Ecological research has long relied on population-level summaries, using averages to describe how groups of organisms interact with their environment. However, this approach can mask the rich diversity found among individuals. By shifting our focus to the individual, we uncover new layers of complexity. Each organism's unique combination of traits means it occupies a slightly different position in the ecological landscape. This perspective doesn't replace population studies but rather complements them, offering a more nuanced understanding of ecological processes. What exactly is an individualized niche? Building on Hutchinson's definition of the ecological niche as the range of conditions where a population can persist, the individualized niche refers to the set of environmental conditions where a particular individual can expect to leave at least one surviving offspring. This definition emphasizes the match between an individual's phenotype, its observable traits, and its environment. It's a functional, ecological concept, focusing on current performance rather than long-term evolutionary outcomes. Ecological niche is a foundational idea in ecology, but its definition has evolved over time. Early concepts focused on a species' habitat or its functional role within a community. Hutchinson revolutionized the field by describing the niche as an n-dimensional hypervolume, a space defined by many environmental factors where a population can survive and reproduce. This framework distinguishes between the fundamental niche potential conditions and the realized niche actual conditions, accounting for competition and other factors. Now, researchers are applying these ideas at the individual level. The individual level, we distinguish between the realized individualized niche, the actual conditions and individual experiences, and the potential individualized niche, the full range of conditions where it could succeed. The realized niche is just a snapshot, a point in environmental space, while the potential niche is broader, encompassing all possible environments where the individual could have an expected lifetime reproductive success of at least one. This distinction helps ecologists understand both the constraints and opportunities faced by individuals. One major challenge in studying individualized niches is the uniqueness of each individual. Unlike populations, individuals can't be statistically replicated, each has a one-of-a-kind combination of traits and experiences. This makes it difficult to empirically measure the full potential niche of any one individual. Researchers often use repeated observations, variance decomposition, or experimental approaches to estimate how much of the variation in niche use is due to individual differences versus environmental factors. To tackle the problem of uniqueness, ecologists use statistical models that treat individuals as ephemeral instances but focus on population-level patterns. For example, repeatability estimates quantify how much of the variation in behavior or resource use is explained by individual differences. Experimental translocations, moving individuals to new environments, can also shed light on the breadth of their potential niches, though practical and ethical constraints limit these studies. Sometimes direct measurement of an individual's niche is impossible. In these cases, researchers use traits, such as body size, coloration, or behavior, as proxies for resource use and environmental fit. By mapping trait combinations to environmental conditions, scientists can predict individualized niches, even for unique or rare phenotypes. However, strong interactions between traits can make predictions challenging, especially when individuals have novel trait combinations. Individuals' realized niche is shaped not just by its potential, but by its ability to move and adapt. For example, insects with different wing lengths may have the potential to survive in many environments, but only those with long wings can actually reach distant habitats. Similarly, developmental plasticity, like the ability to change color or behavior, can expand or contract an individual's niche over time. Mobility and plasticity thus play crucial roles in determining which parts of the potential niche become realized. Just as populations have fundamental and realized niches, individuals can be thought to have fundamental and potential niches. The fundamental individualized niche is the set of all environments an individual could occupy in the absence of specific limiting factors, like competition or dispersal barriers. The potential niche, meanwhile, reflects the environments an individual could occupy, given its unique history and circumstances. These distinctions help clarify why some individuals are absent from certain environments, not always because of unsuitability but sometimes due to chance or history. Time adds another layer of complexity to individualized niches. Should we define an individual's niche as the sum of all environments it experiences over its lifetime, or focus on specific life stages? Developmental decisions, like growing wings or changing color, can alter the niche space available later in life. Some researchers advocate for a time-slice perspective examining niches during particular periods, while others focus on the entire developmental trajectory. Both approaches offer valuable insights into how niches change and evolve over time. Time-slice individualized niche focuses on the environmental space an individual occupies during a specific part of its development, like a season or life stage. This approach is especially useful for studying short-term phenotypic adjustments and how individuals respond to immediate environmental challenges. By collecting repeated measurements across different time slices, researchers can track how an individual's niche shifts throughout its life. Prospective individualized niche considers not just where an individual is now, but where it could go in the future, given its current phenotype and developmental opportunities. This perspective is especially relevant for understanding how critical decisions, like metamorphosis or migration, shape the range of environments an individual can exploit later in life. As individuals age and make choices, their prospective niche typically shrinks, reflecting the narrowing of possible future. Trajectory-based individualized niche follows the entire developmental path of an individual, mapping how its niche changes as it grows and makes decisions. By compiling the trajectories of many individuals, researchers can identify common pathways and critical switch points that lead to different ecological outcomes. This approach helps explain how alternative developmental strategies arise and persist within population. Boundaries of an individualized niche are defined by expected lifetime reproductive success. In other words, the niche includes all environments where an individual can expect to leave at least one surviving offspring. This threshold provides a practical benchmark for distinguishing between core and marginal niche space. However, measuring expected reproductive success is challenging, as it requires accounting for both deterministic and stochastic factors affecting survival and reproduction. It's important to distinguish between realized and expected reproductive success. Realized success is what actually happens, how many offspring an individual produces, but this can be influenced by chance events or bad luck. Expected reproductive success, on the other hand, is a statistical estimate based on the individual's phenotype and environment. For defining niche boundaries, expected success is more informative, as it reflects the potential for persistence rather than the outcome of random events. Map individualized niches. Ecologists use fitness functions, mathematical relationships that link phenotype-environment combinations to expected reproductive success. These functions can be complex, involving multiple traits and environmental variables, and often require sophisticated statistical models. By analyzing fitness landscapes, researchers can identify which combinations of traits and environments are most likely to result in successful reproduction. Hutchinson's original niche concept described an n-dimensional space, with each dimension representing an environmental factor. When we scale down to individuals, the number of relevant dimensions often increases. In addition to abiotic and biotic factors, the individualized niche includes intraspecific dimensions like population density, social context, and the frequency of alternative phenotypes. This added complexity reflects the rich tapestry of interactions that shape each individual's ecological experience. Key difference between population and individualized niches is the inclusion of intraspecific factors. The social environment, such as the presence of conspecifics, potential mates, or competitors, becomes an explicit part of the individualized niche. Social interactions can profoundly influence an individual's access to resources, risk of predation, and ultimately reproductive success. This social niche is dynamic, changing as population density and the distribution of traits within the population shift. Frequency of different phenotypes within a population can affect the individualized niche. For example, in color polymorphic prey species, predators may develop search images for the most common morph, giving rare morphs a survival advantage. This frequency-dependent selection means that the success of an individual's niche depends not just on its own traits, but on the traits of others in the population. Such dynamics can maintain diversity and drive evolutionary change. Selection can be hard determined by the individual's phenotype and environment, or soft influenced by population density and the frequency of other phenotypes. In individualized niches, both forms of selection are important. Hard selection shapes the absolute boundaries of the niche, while soft selection introduces context dependence, making the niche dynamic and responsive to changes in the population. Niche boundaries aren't always sharp lines. Instead, they often form gradual transitions from core areas, where reproductive success is high, to marginal areas where success declines. This gradient reflects the continuous nature of environmental variation and the probabilistic relationship between phenotype, environment, and fitness. Recognizing these gradients helps ecologists understand the flexibility and limits of individualized niches. Empirically quantifying individualized niches is no easy task. The high dimensionality of niche space, the uniqueness of individuals, and the need for long-term data all pose significant challenges. Researchers must carefully select which dimensions to measure, use proxies when direct measurement is impossible, and apply advanced statistical models to tease apart the effects of phenotype and environment. Beyond its practical applications, the individualized niche concept serves as a powerful metaphor for thinking about individuality in ecology. It encourages researchers to move beyond averages and embrace the diversity found within populations. By structuring research around individualized niches, scientists can generate new hypotheses, design more informative studies, and ultimately gain a deeper understanding of ecological and evolutionary processes. Individualized niche framework offers practical guidance for empirical studies. For example, repeated observations of the same individuals can quantify realized and trajectory-based niches. Time-slice niches are already common in animal personality research, but a stronger focus on phenotype-environment matches can yield richer insights. Perspective niches, though harder to measure, can be approached by studying the consequences of developmental switchpoint. While the full individualized niche is highly multidimensional, not all dimensions are equally important. A key challenge for researchers is to identify and focus on the variables that matter most for individual success. This often involves reducing the complexity of niche space to a manageable set of factors, using statistical techniques or expert knowledge to guide the selection. Predicting fitness expectations from phenotype-environment combinations requires robust statistical models. Nonlinearities and interactions between variables can complicate these predictions, so researchers must ensure their models are sufficiently flexible and well-calibrated. While linear models are a starting point, more sophisticated approaches are often needed to capture the true complexity of individualized niches. In many cases, direct measurement of lifetime reproductive success is impractical or impossible. Researchers often rely on proxies such as survival rates, number of offspring in a season, or physiological indicators to estimate fitness. While these proxies may not capture the full picture, they provide valuable information for mapping individualized niches and understanding ecological dynamics. Some aspects of individualized niches can be quantified directly, especially with repeated observations and detailed life history data. Realized and trajectory-based niches are most accessible, while time-slice and perspective niches require more targeted study designs. The potential individualized niche remains the most challenging, often requiring statistical inference and grouping of similar individuals. Research on animal personality provides a rich source of data for individualized niche studies. Traits like boldness, aggression, and sociability are often consistent within individuals and linked to ecological outcomes. By tracking how these traits interact with environmental variables, scientists can map the individualized niches of different personality types and explore their consequences for population dynamics. Variation within populations isn't just noise, it can have profound effects on ecological and evolutionary processes. Interspecific variation can increase population stability, resilience, and adaptability while reducing extinction risk. By partitioning resources and reducing competition, individual specialization can promote coexistence and drive the evolution of new traits. When individuals specialize on different resources, they reduce competition and can increase the carrying capacity of their habitat. This resource partitioning mirrors dynamics seen at the community level but operates within populations. Such specialization can buffer populations against environmental change and promote long-term persistence. Understanding individualized niches is increasingly important in the context of climate change. As environments shift, individuals with different trait combinations may respond in diverse ways, affecting population resilience and adaptation. By mapping individualized niches, ecologists can better predict which individuals or populations are most at risk and which are likely to thrive. Developmental plasticity, the ability to adjust traits in response to environmental cues, can expand or contract an individual's niche. For example, some grasshoppers can change color during development to match their background, improving survival. Such plasticity allows individuals to exploit a wider range of environments, increasing their chances of reproductive success. Not all differences in individual success are due to traits or environment. Sometimes luck plays a role. Accidents and random events can affect survival and reproduction, but these should not be considered part of the individualized niche unless they are systematically linked to environmental choices. Recognizing the role of chance helps clarify the boundaries of ecological explanations. Individualized niche concept is not just a theoretical exercise, it has practical implications for conservation, management, and basic research. By integrating individual-level variation into ecological models, scientists can make more accurate predictions about population dynamics, species interactions, and responses to environmental change. Despite recent advances, many questions remain. How can we efficiently identify the most relevant niche dimensions? What are the best proxies for fitness in different systems? How do nonlinearities and trait interactions shape individualized niches? Addressing these questions will require collaboration across disciplines and the development of new methods and technologies. One of the main contributions of recent research is to bring structure to the individualized niche concept. By defining subcategories, realized, potential, time-slice, perspective, and trajectory-based niches, scientists can more precisely describe and study the many facets of individuality in ecology. This structured approach helps avoid confusion and guides empirical research. Researchers interested in studying individualized niches, the first step is to collect detailed, repeated observations of individuals across different environments and life stages. Focus on variables that are likely to influence reproductive success, and use statistical models to partition the effects of phenotype and environment. Collaboration with statisticians and modelers can greatly enhance the quality and interpretability of results. Long-term studies are especially valuable for mapping individualized niches, as they capture the full range of environmental variation and developmental trajectories. Such studies can reveal patterns that are invisible in short-term or cross-sectional research, providing a richer understanding of how individuality shapes ecological outcomes. While the individualized niche concept was developed in ecology, its implications extend to other fields, including evolution, behavior, and even philosophy of science. By emphasizing the importance of individuality, this framework encourages a more holistic and integrative approach to understanding living systems. Sum up, the individualized niche concept offers a powerful lens for understanding the diversity and complexity of life. By focusing on the unique interactions between individuals and their environments, ecologists can uncover new patterns, generate novel hypotheses, and develop more effective conservation strategies. The challenges are significant, but so are the rewards. As research on individualized niches continues to grow, we can expect exciting new discoveries about how individuality shapes ecological and evolutionary processes. Advances in technology, data analysis, and interdisciplinary collaboration will open up new possibilities for mapping and understanding the rich tapestry of life at the individual level. Conclusion: the individualized niche concept challenges us to look beyond averages and embrace the full spectrum of diversity within populations. By doing so, we gain a deeper appreciation for the complexity of ecological systems and the unique roles that individuals play. Whether you're a researcher, student, or nature enthusiast, understanding individualized niches can enrich your perspective on the natural world.